Hey, what's going on? Hope you're doing well. Happy day to you. Tuesday. All right, we're going to talk about fat in just a moment, but I want to ask you this question right off the bat. What are you feeding yourself, right? If you feed yourself carbs, you ingest carbs. You feed yourself protein, you ingest protein. You feed yourself fat, you ingest fat. You feed yourself, or you don't feed yourself, and you feed yourself nothing. You feed yourself liquid calories, and guess what goes in your body? Liquid calories. You feed yourself water and you get water, right? Pretty straightforward. You feed yourself, what else is there? You feed yourself fried foods, and guess what? You ingest fried foods. And you feed yourself healthy vegetables. Let's just say healthy vegetables, and guess what? You ingest healthy vegetables. What happens when you feed yourself fat? When you feed yourself fat, right? And like, where are you going with this, Mark? Where are you going with this? Well, let's just talk a moment. We all know, right? Pretty much what you feed yourself, you become, right? You are what you eat. You feed yourself foods that aren't really healthy for you, and guess what? It doesn't just turn into healthy nutrition and boom, you're healthy, right? You feed yourself unhealthy foods and you get unhealthy. You feed yourself healthier foods option. The problem is there's a lot of stuff in between. There's a lot of confusion. What to eat, how much to eat. Can I eat sugar? Can I eat fruit? Is fruit sugar? Will I get fat on fruit? All those kinds of questions, right? They start to loom, and the more and more information we have out there, and the more and more information that keeps getting put out on the internet and everywhere else, makes it just more and more confusing, and there's a whole lot of fat, if you will. But I'm going to talk about something other than that, because you're thinking I'm talking about what you ingest, right? Because reality is pretty much a no-brainer, right? Now you're like, oh no, well, like, what about sugar? You know, sugar is a bad thing. Yeah, well, that turns into fat. Everything pretty much turns into fat if it's not being used for fuel, right? Carbs, if it's not being used for fuel, turns into fat, sits on your body, all that stuff. But let's talk about something even more important. This is the message for you if you're feeding your mind fat. Here, what happens about fat? You know this about fat. You know that muscle on your body takes up less space. If you didn't know this, a little food for thought. This is something, it's not a myth. This is truth. If you were to take 1 pound of muscle and 1 pound of fat, if you were to look at them, it's kind of like the difference between the size of an orange, a regular normal sized orange, and the size of a grapefruit. Now, if you were to say that the orange is a pound and the grapefruit is a pound, look, the grapefruit's going to take up more space. And here's a problem when it comes to mindset, because truly mindset is where it really boils down to. Because I can have people that can lose weight, they can get in better shape, they can get on the diets and all those things. And why do typically diets fail? And why do people typically fail who are still struggling? If you're still struggling, pay attention. Is because maybe you had some success with weight loss, but your mind is still fat, right? Maybe you lost the 30 pounds of fat you've been trying to lose, and maybe you did. It doesn't even really matter. At the end of the day, we all know it's calorie deficit, right? At the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. Your body ingests a certain amount of food, and if you burn it out through the day, and you can stay pretty much balanced, if you will, which none of us are, but again, if you burn off more, chances are you can lose some weight, right? Calorie deficit, we talked about that the other day. But if your mind is not right, you can have all the diets, you can lose all the weight. What happens? People fall off track. They fall off of weight loss programs, whether they're quick fixes or even permanent solutions. They fall off because their mindset is still fat. They keep their mind fat. And what do I mean by that? Is that a lot of times if people just don't feel good enough, they don't feel strong enough, they don't feel pretty enough, they're kind of bombarded with fat, if you will. You think of like excess fat being like, it's not attractive to have the excess. Now, fat does have its purpose. Fat does have its purpose on our bodies, just so you know. On a side note, fat does have a purpose to protect the organs, but excess fat can be damaging. Just like in the mind, like we have a certain amount of fat up there, right? A certain amount of fat up in the mind. There's not much in the brain compared to like our waist and our thighs and our hips and all that stuff. And our arms and all those fun places we love to burn fat. But I would say but fat in our mind, think about this, like the grapefruit and the orange, it takes up more space. Your mind is a muscle. You have to work it. But if you don't work your mind, guess what? Guess what takes up space? Fat. And guess what? It's no different if you think of like pound for pound. Why, if you've seen the chart where it shows 5 different women and they're all the same weight, but they all look very different because one's maybe shorter and more muscular and one's maybe tall and lanky. And then you see one that's really fat and has the same amount of body weight. Again, because our body is comprised. Your body is going to take up space. Something is going to take up space in your mind, just like in your own body. It could be muscle, it could be fat, it could be bones, right? You could be a load of bones and organs, and that's about it. Skinny fat, is that what they call it? So the point of this is to share with you as far as your mindset. You got to get your mind healthy. You got to work your muscles. Like you go in the gym and you work your muscles, you also have to work your mind. It truly is what's going to take you on that long journey of sustainable weight loss, sustainable fitness, is having your mindset right. Removing really like, everybody talks about decreasing fat. Like, I want to lower my body fat. I want to remove 20 pounds of fat. Well, how about the fat that goes in between the brain? Because that's taking up space. And guess what? There's only so much space. If you think of inside of your brain, your cranium, right? The skull. In fact, when I was in physical therapy school, I actually got to do cadaver dissection, and we got to cut the brain, and we didn't, they took it out and were able to use it in neuroscience. But I would say it was hard to get through that hard shell, right? Like, I got a hard shell up here. It's pretty hard. You hear that? It's pretty hard. But inside of that is our muscle, or is our brain, right? And there's only so much space that our brain can take up in there, right? Our brain can work. And here's the reality is, you're either putting fat or you're working it like a muscle. So my goal for you and my encouragement for you in this daily dose, and I don't know what episode we're in. I think I've lost track. We're in like 178, something to that effect. It's almost a whole year's worth, right? But to be as encouraging to you as I possibly can, if you lose a bunch of weight, let's just say you lose a bunch of weight and you lose a bunch of fat and you go on that crash diet or that quick fix and you have all that success, why doesn't it stay? Why doesn't it stay? It's not because it wasn't successful because you got on the scale, right? And you lost the weight. It's because you still have fat up here in the brain. You still have fat that you need to remove. You need to work. When you work the muscle of your brain, you work your mindset. Guess what happens? You start to think differently. And guess what happens? You start to build different habits. And guess what happens? You're able to make wiser choices. When you make a choice, guess where the choice comes from first? It comes from up here in the brain. And then you make the decision, right? You can make the choice in the brain, but if there's a lot of fat up here in the brain, if there's a lot of negativity, maybe there's saboteurs in your life, maybe there's relationships, maybe you have a lot of damaging effects from years and years of trying weight loss programs, trying diets, trying quick fixes, trying and failing, and you've built so much fat, so to speak, in your brain that there's nowhere for your muscle in your brain to grow and learn. And I'll say sometimes it takes having somebody help clear that fat away. It's a little different than just burning extra calories, right? The mindset takes work. It takes intentionality. It even sometimes takes having a coach come alongside you. And that's what I do with a lot of people. You see, I tell people all the time, I can help you. It's not a matter of helping you lose weight. That's not like I can do that. Anybody can help you lose. You can do anything pretty much and lose weight for the most part. But the difference is the solution that people maybe get sold into believing there's a quick approach to the solution. The solution is learning how your mind can get stronger so that your life can get stronger, so that your mindset can get stronger. And when your mindset gets stronger, your choices you make get stronger, and you're able to work through life and get through the obstacles and the challenges of things that come up. Life gets in the way of us being at our best. I think the evilness, the devil tries to get, whether you have faith or not, it's not about it, but I think there's evil. I think we can all we can all say that there's evil that exists in this world. And what happens is when you start to focus on the bad things, the disappointment. You focus on, the scale's not moving, and I didn't get a workout in. You start to beat yourself up. You're allowing room in your mind when you're not working it, when you're having that negativity, you're allowing that room to put fat in there. And then guess what? The fat takes up more space. It makes it harder. So I just want to be as encouraging as I can to just say, to first not give up. Also to work the mindset. Maybe that's the one thing that's differentiating you from actually getting in the best shape of your life, is maybe you just don't feel like you can do it. Maybe you feel like you're too old. Maybe you feel like it's too late. Maybe you feel like you've tried everything and anything and you just are done. You're just exhausted. And if you're in your 40s or 50s, I know, because I have a lot of people who come to me and they're exhausted, Mark. I've tried everything. I've had success. Mark, I know what to do. I know all the nutrition. I know. But guess what? You know, but it's mindset. Your mind doesn't know because there's too much fat up in there and you need to work the muscle. And sometimes it helps to have somebody help you with mindset. A good coach, a mentor can come alongside you, not just to count reps and to tell you to do 50 push-ups and to tell you to eat more vegetables and to tell you to drink more water, but to actually have the mindset to help you grow in your mind, help you build your mindset, get stronger in the muscles between that hard dome of yours, right? Sometimes that's the hardest thing that we have to break through in order to have our true breakthroughs with life, because this is truly a journey. This is not a sprint. So do know this going into your Tuesday, the 22nd of September, my last day of 47. I'm very excited. And I would say is mindset, just like getting older, right? I can't tell you how many people, when they talk and they don't want to share when they have a birthday and they're like, oh, I'm 40 and life's going to be different, and they worry about their age and they start to kill their mindset versus being encouraged. God gave you now. Like, I'm encouraged that God gave me another day. He hopefully will wake me up tomorrow and allow me to see another year. I'm excited for that. That's mindset. That's growing the muscle to know that he's got a purpose and plan for me, just as he has a purpose and plan for you. You got up and you're watching this right now. So anyway, I hope this message found you well. Remember, there's fat. There's fat up here. Maybe that's why it's hard to remember. It's time to start to remove the fat that's up here between your brain so you can start working the muscle in your brain and develop the kind of habits and skill set and mindset to make you not only a strong warrior like you think. You gotta go through this like a warrior. If you've lived this long, if you're parents and you got kids, teenagers, college students, chances are you are a survivor. You're a warrior. Now let's thrive through it now. Let's work our mindset, especially now in the time where, gosh, look at the mindset that's getting a hold of people, right? The mindset that's getting a hold and capturing people, keeping them hostage in their own lives and their own bodies, keeping them hostage at home, keeping them hostage, believing everything they see on the internet. Trust me, you don't have to believe what I'm saying, but you can understand, and it's pretty straightforward, that we have to work our mind if we want our minds to work for us, not against us. That's all I've got. Take care and have a blessed Tuesday.